Brought to you by DK Audio.
DK Audio presents Reefer Wellness, Understanding Cannabis Science, Culture and Medicine. Written and read by Dr. Riley Kirk.
This book is dedicated to those who have embraced this medicine long before science confirmed its value, to those who listened to their bodies and placed their trust in nature, even when doing so was deemed unlawful, to the millions of people who have served time and who are still incarcerated for growing, smuggling, selling, or consuming this plant, to those who are targeted and discriminated against every single day for looking, smelling, or acting like a stoner. This book is dedicated to the amazing advocates in our community who have spent their entire lives pushing to increase access to this plant and continue to show up every single day. I hope the words in this book can help us all communicate our passion and love for this plant and help represent and protect our community in future endeavors. The book that you are about to hear may educate you. It would not be possible otherwise to sufficiently share the power of this complex medicinal plant that is helping people all over the world. Cannabis is that plant, a complex and nuanced herb, a real benefit to the public. The first effect is often a calm, relaxing feeling that sometimes causes laughter. Then comes increased inspiration and patience. Focus may return, productivity may surge. Creative ideas may come next, allowing one to produce beautiful art. Followed by heightened sensitivity, the total ability to be in the moment, the gaining of power to get along with others, leading to acts of peace and understanding, ending often with a good night's sleep. In sharing the science behind this truly incredible and powerful plant, no attempt was made to equivocate. The contents, researched, written, and edited for this book are based on scientific facts and studies that showcase the many benefits of the plant. If the abundance of research and personal stories helps to take the stigma away from using cannabis and allows you to begin or continue your own healing journey with the plant, then this book will have succeeded in its goal to educate and empower. Because as cannabis legalization becomes more widespread and as research into this complex, miraculous plant grows, people everywhere will be able to make their own educated decision on how cannabis may benefit them. Welcome. This book is intended to share fundamental information about the human body and cannabis. For any significant changes to your health and wellness routine, especially those involving medications, always consult with a qualified healthcare professional. The book that you are listening to represents progress in a new era in cannabis culture, turning the notion of propaganda-ridden reefer madness upside down as more states legalize the plant, as scientists are freer to study it, and as more and more people turn to it for medicinal and adult use. Instead of creating hysteria about cannabis, this book is designed to educate you about this complex and unique plant so that you can be comfortable and confident on your own cannabis journey, no matter what point you have reached in it. I would not have been able to write this book nor complete my PhD dissertation without the help and brain-expanding properties of cannabis. This plant has helped me through loss and hardship, laughs and joy, and provided consistency, reassurance, and spiritual guidance throughout my life. Although the title of this book is a play on the anti-cannabis propaganda film, the goal of it is to reverse some of the propaganda with scientific facts and patient stories. It is time we reclaim the narrative around cannabis from the perspective of the community who loves it. In 1937, the United States enacted the Marijuana Tax Act, effectively making cannabis illegal. To gain public support, the government launched a major media campaign, including films like Reefer Madness from 1936, which portrayed marijuana users as violent and immoral. Harry Anslinger further fueled the fear, declaring marijuana as an addictive drug leading to insanity, criminality, and death. If you have not seen the movie, it makes for a fun evening, especially with cannabis in the mix. If you have seen it, you will know that the opening of this movie contains a sort of foreword filled with propaganda. I could not help but want to edit it to reflect what my goals are in this book and showcase how far we have come as a society to destigmatize and understand cannabis and its many uses. Mad love, Dr. Riley Kirk. Introduction. I grew up absolutely fascinated with the natural world, as many children do, but the curiosity never went away from me. As my brain grew and developed, I started to seek more information on the natural substances that we use in our everyday lives, from caffeine and nicotine to ashwagandha, kratom, and kava. It was clear people were taking these substances for their medicinal benefits, or sometimes recreationally. But the more I tried to read up on how they were doing it, the more confused I got. I became a sponge, learning about the traditional practices of herbalists, reading books on natural products, foraging for diverse plants and fungi, growing my own plants, and eventually crafting my own extractions and formulations as well. However, I still struggled to fully understand the scientific papers that were being published on these plants. In journals like Phytochemistry or the Journal of Natural Products, it seemed to me that the science was written in a language that I couldn't understand, and my brain needed to put together the pieces of what I was learning. Part of what kept my brain curious and outright obsessed with the natural world was cannabis. I'm a very nonlinear thinker, and I believe that is due in part to constantly exercising my brain to think beyond the obvious. I found that my brain responded very well to cannabis at a young age when I started using it in high school, and from then I never really looked back. Now, as an educated consumer, I realize that part of the reason my brain reacted so positively to cannabis is because I have a very hyperactive brain. Hyperactive not only in my thoughts and feelings, but also hyperactive in the form of experiencing seizures from brain hyperactivity when I was young. Looking back, I realized that since starting to be a regular cannabis consumer, my brain has felt at ease, and I have not experienced a seizure as an adult. Later, I learned about the mechanism cannabis works in the brain and had my own life experiences validated by the scientific literature. While I always enjoyed consuming cannabis and learning about it, when I started on my journey with it, I never thought it would lead to a career. I always assumed I'd be a scientist by trade and a stoner in my off time because I didn't know that you could study cannabis. It was never presented to me in a professional or scientific manner, so I just assumed nobody was doing research on it. What opened my world was learning about a field of science called pharmacognosy. This is the science of natural products, the science of natural discoveries, the science of the chemistry of nature, and my obsession. When I learned about this field of study, I pursued it headfirst without looking back. I engulfed myself in research and gave 100% of my time and effort to studying how nature produced such amazing molecules. What I quickly learned while studying natural products is that we have no shortage of information on cannabis, kratom, kava, echinacea, or any of these other traditionally used herbs. The issue is that we have no mechanism for getting information from the scientific studies to the people actually using the products. What we were missing was communication. We weren't missing just the act of discussing the scientific literature, but also the nuance of what it means in the context of life and how we can combine our lived experience as humans with the scientific literature to get a more nuanced look at these medicines. At the start of the coronavirus pandemic in 2020, I was a scientist who was stuck at home for the first time ever. During this time, much of the world was experiencing increased isolation, depression, anxiety, fear, and a loss of community, and many people started to explore cannabis as a result. A new app was starting to take over the world. It was called TikTok. In any other universe, I probably would never have started to make videos. But I was home, and I was bored, and I missed teaching students about cannabis and chemistry. I was writing my dissertation at the time and wanted to share some information I knew about cannabis to help others learn about the science behind this plant. The first video I made blew up, then the second, then the third.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?